All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I wanted to go through today and give you guys a quick tip for those of y'all that aren't familiar with spraying white sealer. It typically is pretty transparent, so I want to give y'all a method that I use to speed up the process and to gain good coverage when you're going over these brand new e-coated parts or black primer parts. Just a quick method on how to get that done a little faster. Now when it comes to applying sealer, typically in this process here we're using white sealer. We only need this because the vehicle is white. If it was really any other color, we'd be using gray. If it was black, we'd be using black. But the problem with using white sealer is when you're going over top of some of these, the black E-coat or the black bumpers, that's 99% of them out there, or they come like that from the factory in that black color. And it's hard to get coverage over that because you've got such a stark contrast between black and white. You're trying to put one coat of sealer down to essentially cover that black all the way up, and it typically doesn't work. So a method to get that covered up is typically to put 2 coats of sealer on. Now, the issue with putting 2 coats of sealer on is it really increases your cycle time of how long it takes before you can get back in the booth and put your color on. Typically, you know, if we're using, let's say, a urethane sealer, you're going to probably put that on. You're going to have about a 10-minute wait for it to flash up and tack off and be ready to go to put your base coat on. Now, if you put 2 coats on, you know, you're going to wait that 10 minutes, and then you're going to apply your second coat of sealer. And now it's not 10 minutes to that next, to where you can put base coat on. Now you're going to end up waiting about 20. Because you really need to let that sealer dry out. The more paint you keep putting on, or especially with sealer, same with clear coat, every time you put more and more on, you increase that dry time where you need to wait before you can go to the next step. So a method I like to use is what we just call a coat and a half method. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take the white sealer, I'm going to go through, I'm going to put 1 quick coat on it. I'm not trying to make full coverage. I just want to get some on the panel. And because we're not putting so much on, all we need to do is really let it flash for about 3 to 4 minutes. Kind of depends on the, you know, your temperatures and everything, but it only needs to flash off 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 max. And then we're going to apply our actual full wet coat. And so what that's going to do is if we've spent just a couple minutes shooting a really light coat on, we're only going to wait, let's say 5 minutes, and then we're going to apply our full coat of sealer. Well, now we just need to wait our normal 10 minutes before we go on to base coat. So we've drastically reduced the amount of time in the booth waiting on sealer to set up, and we gained the coverage necessary in order to be able to go right into putting our white base coat down, 2 coats of white base typically, in most systems, and then we're going to be ready for clear. We're in and out of the booth a lot faster, so we're not waiting on, you know, 2 coats of sealer to actually dry. All right, so when I do this, what you're going to see is I'm using the brand new PRD 81 series from Porpoise. I'll put a link in the description for my latest video on that gun. Go check that thing out. It really is a beast of a gun. They finally did, if you haven't seen my first video, they did make some corrections, and it is a fantastic gun that I will definitely recommend anyone get that's looking for a fantastic gun. So, but starting off here, what we're going to end up doing, we're going to go ahead and spray that light coat like I was talking about. So 1 quick coat. We're still running about a 50-50 overlap. We're just going to run through and get just some on the panel. You'll see, as I said, we're not trying to make coverage. We just want to get some on there. And once we do that, we just simply sit back. We're going to go off. I usually go 3 to 4 minutes. You can kind of look at it and tell, just basically you're wanting that reducer to flash out of it. And since there's not much paint on there, you know, you don't have a lot of wait time in there. So 3 to 4 minutes. Once we get through that 3 or 4 minutes, we're going to go back and we're going to treat it just like we normally would. We're going to put one full wet coat on everything, and then we'll be done. We can wait our, this particular primer or sealer is actually an epoxy sealer, so we need to wait 15 minutes versus what I was mentioning earlier, 10 minutes on some DTM primers. So we'll have to wait 15 minutes, but either way, the process is the same whether you're using an epoxy or a urethane. Now, after it's flashed off, you can see also it is truly covered. No blotchiness. It's been about 15 minutes and everything is ready to go. Got base in the gun. As I said, we're going to go ahead and we'll slap on 2 coats of base coat. Get those on real quick, and then we'll put on 2 coats of clear coat. All right, so just like that, we are done. 2 coats of base, 2 coats of clear on top of our white sealer. We're good to go. Now, like I was saying earlier, on that half a coat, I spent 3 minutes letting that thing flash off. If you have more parts in the booth and, let's say we had 5 parts in the booth instead of 2, really I probably wouldn't have to wait at all, because by the time I did that little half coat on the first part and got to the 5th part, 2-3 minutes would have probably passed. I could go right back, start all over, and just run right through and put a full coat on, which also speeds everything up. So you're not stepping out the booth, you're not waiting 3 minutes when you finish that last car. As soon as you finish that first part, you can start that clock. It's ready to go. Like I say, 3 minutes. After that half coat, I put 1 full coat on, and then 15 minutes later, I was ready to put my base on. 2 coats of white base. As long as you have good sealer coverage, you don't need but 2 coats. I mean, in some cases with like EnviroBase, I'd only put 1 coat of base down in some cases. This is Omni Plus, so I did 2 coats of base. Omni Plus doesn't always cover the greatest, but I still only need 2 coats of white to get it done. So I just wanted to share this little tip with y'all, how I do things with white sealer. If you got something that you want to know how I do it, hit me up in the comments. I'll see if I can get back to you, or maybe we can make a video on that specific topic. Now, with that being said, if you're interested in that Porpoise PRD 817, I will leave a discount code in the description. They'll save you 5% using my code, Paint by Curry. I know everything's pretty expensive right now, but everything's expensive. So at least 5%, you'll save yourself a little bit. Won't be quite as bad. And so, of course, as always, hopefully you learned a little something. If you did, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and tap that bell. And I'll catch you on the next one.